guys, welcome back to my channel, and this is the video where I talk about all the books that I read in November 2020. Meanwhile, it's a cozy Sunday morning and honestly I'm in my hoodie. I actually woke up like 30 minutes back and decided that oops, I have to film this video today. So here I am filming the video. Meanwhile, it's not that cold outside, but the point is when Mumbaikars feel like it's 20 degrees Celsius, they just like snap and they put their hoodies on. Okay, so it's not that cold wise, but it's cold Mumbai wise actually, so that's why the hoodie's on. Yeah, and I really love doing this because it's my comfort. Anyway, let's get to the video. So today I'm going to be talking about all the books I read in November 2020, and the way I'm going to do it is by selecting or like placing all the books from 0 stars to 5 stars. So let's start with the book that I rated, I think 1 star. That's like my minimum rating this month, and it is Nithin Swami's I Just Want to Remember. I actually did a whole video on this because I was sent this book in order to review it. It's up above if you're interested in watching that one. So that being said, let's move on to the other books, and the next section will be the books that I rated 4 stars. So let's start with the books that I rated 4 stars. Now, the first book that I rated 4 stars this month is Art Matters by Neil Gaiman, and this particular book talks about why artists and writers are important in this society, in this world, and how they tend to change the world. And it also talks about a lot of other stuff, like how he became a writer and how he's how he learned journalism, stuff like that, because of his love for writing, that is. And it's a very nice book. I really liked it. I listened to the audiobook, although many people told me that the illustrations in the physical book are amazing, but I don't have plans to buy the physical book because this book didn't affect me that much. That's why 4 stars. Plus I wish this was a bit long. Like if this was something like example, if it was like On Writing by Stephen King or something on those lines, I would have loved to have a physical copy. But this one didn't affect me much, but it's a good, lovely short read. It's a nice read, and if you're not read it yet, you're just gonna spend like 45 minutes reading it anyway. So that being said, the next book that I rated 4 stars is Love and Other Thought Experiments by Sophie. Now this is an amazing book. Okay, where do I start with this? First of all, let me just say, this is not a book for everybody. If you're interested in philosophical reading, and if you're interested in books that kind of try to get physics and philosophy on the same plane, then you should read this book. This book basically talks about a bunch of characters who are put in various situations and how they come out of it. And you will only understand the meaning of the book by the end of it, and either you like hate it or you like it. Like there's no in between per se. Like you'll hate it or you like it. And if you're looking for more challenging books where you have to like sit back and think, then this is one of the books that you will really love. I don't want to like divulge much because reading this book in itself is a very, very good experience, and it'll kind of make you realize what kind of books do you actually like on some level, because this is a very intellectual book and you need to have like the intellectual capacity, I would say, to understand it very well, or you must have the curiosity to Google more on the concepts discussed in the book in order to understand it well, if that makes sense. So yeah, I mean, it's a nice book and it's a good challenging read, and I highly recommend it to people who love intellectual reads in general. So that being said, the next book that I gave 4 stars this month was, I have it here, it is Rebel Sultans by Manu. Pillai. So I said that I would talk more about this in my wrap up, and here we are going to talk about this. First thing, let me just, it's very commendable what Manu Pillai has done with his research. So let me just show you the pages of research here, because right here, yep, okay. So this is the amount of research that went into the book, okay, and every one of those notes are like very detailed, and you can even see the page number which he referred to in that particular book. It's amazing, and I had to keep a bookmark here, and I had to use 2 bookmarks, one here and the other one like somewhere in the middle, because this one is literally like a history textbook that tells you the history of Deccan, and it actually tells you the history of Deccan from Khilji to Shivaji. So I love this book, basically because currently in India, a lot of history is being manipulated to suit people's needs. A lot of history, especially from one religion, is being erased because of the fact that they are supposed to be invaders. But this book gives you hard hitting facts about invaders, about foreigners, and all of these things that run around within the political scenario. I really appreciate this book because it is written line to line. Like every line in this is worth highlighting. I like the way he writes. Although I cut that 1 star, the reason why this is only 4 stars is simply because this reads like a history textbook. Okay, so if you want to read this, you have to be like in a fresh mindset. You have to like sit with a pencil or a highlighter, like underlining things in order to understand everything. It's basically your history textbook from school, and this is a history textbook that I would love people would teach in schools, like at least like in 7th or 8th standard. This should be your history textbook because it tells you hard hitting facts, especially about the Deccan region, and how power was always considered to be like the center of things and the epitome of things, and not the religion. Okay, like for example, this book talks about how Rajputs and Mughals were allies, and it also talks about how Marathas and the Bahmani Sultanate today would be the Nizams. So there were a lot of like other I would say governors or monarchs within that particular Bahmani Sultanate. Like currently what we know are Nizam Shahs from Hyderabad, like that side, but they were a part of the Bahmani Sultanate. So Marathas and Nizam Shahs were allies at one point, and then Shivaji came in, and he decided that that until Shivaji there was no emotion of a Maharashtra state per se, and it kind of explores all of those emotions all throughout, because it talks about how Khilji invaded the Yadavas, the Hoysalas, etc., and it ends at Shivaji. The ends at Maharashtra, after which like the British will actually come. So this kind of covers 300 years of Indian history in the Deccan region, and I love this book. Honestly, like if you're looking for like an amazing read, if you're looking for like hard hitting facts, this is the book to recommend. I love this. I would read more books from Manu S. Pillai, but again, like I said, you have to be like in the correct mindset to read it. It's a history textbook. If you just like light read it, you're not going to get anything. It's just going to bounce over your head. So that being said, Rebel Sultans by Manu S. Pillai, highly recommended if you are a history buff. So that's that. Now let's get to the books that I rated between 4 and 5 stars. So always every month there are these books that are not like so 5-star-ish, but then they are not like even 4-star-ish. So I end up rating them something in the middle. And the first book that I rated 4.3 stars is Shuggie Bain by Douglas Stuart, which surprisingly won the Booker Prize 2020. I even made a reaction video on it, check it out. But that being said, honestly, I am not a big fan of this book. Okay, let me just be very honest. The reason I don't like this book much is simply because the book is super slow. Okay, it's like super slow for my liking. It is like, it's like in the first 20 chapters, things are just like happening, blah blah blah, and the actual thing happens only in the last 12 chapters. So it's like 32 chapters, and in the last 12 chapters you'll actually like get on pace with the story. So what I didn't like at all is the pacing of this book, and that's why I was kind of surprised that this won the Booker Prize. But then maybe the Booker is a very commercial prize now, and nobody cares about the books that no one has read, those weird books that nobody has read, because there was one book that could have won but it not win. Let me not be salty about it now. But yeah, that being said, so basically it is a nice book, but it's not a great book in my opinion. I think it could have been written much better. I think the pacing could have been much better, and it's not that I'm saying Douglas Stewart is a bad writer. He's a very good writer and he knows how to like write very well. But again, My problem was the pacing. So I'll be looking forward to his next book and I'll be reading it anyway. But if you are someone who wants to read this book, just go into it knowing that the book is pretty slow. So go read it. Anyway, the next book that I rated 4.7 stars because I really loved this and I wanted this to win the Booker kind of was this one. This one. This is Real Life by Brandon Taylor and I really love this book. I think this is kind of a philosophical book. It talks about a black gay man in a US university with white friends and how he is kind of questioning his race, how he's questioning his identity, and how it's like, okay, cool, like a lot of things are going on. And in between this, he even has sex with a straight white man. And the straight white man is still coming to terms with his sexuality. So basically, it's a great read for the modern age. I really like Brandon Taylor as a writer. Like I said, I've read Carmen Maria Machado, who is from the Iowa Writers Workshop, and Brandon Taylor as well is from the Iowa Writers Workshop. And whoever comes from this program, I love their writing. It's just me because many people don't like their writing, but for me, I really love it. It's very intricate and it's very detailed and it tries to tell you a lot of things in a single sentence. And for me, like if you tell me, okay, you know what, the author is from the Iowa Writers Workshop, I'll just like pick it up ASAP and I'll read it anyway. So I really appreciate Brandon Taylor. I appreciate his writing and I appreciate writers from the Iowa Writers Workshop as well. So that's that. Now, that being said, let's get on to the book that I rated 5 stars this month, and that is Clap When You Land by Elizabeth Acevedo. Now, Elizabeth Acevedo is my new favorite woman author, female author, okay, and she's actually replaced a Nigerian author in my favorite woman authors list. And I love her writing. I've read the Poetics and I fell in love with it. And this one, I love this one as well. I really love this one a lot. I listened to the audiobook narrated by Elizabeth Acevedo. So, this book is about 2 girls whose fathers, they die in a plane crash. And one of the girls is from Dominican Republic and the other girl is from New York, USA. And so their lives get intertwined because of some reason, and that's what the story is about. So it's a story about love, loss, grief, betrayal, and how these women are trying to come in terms with things around them post their father's death. So it's an amazing read. I would categorize this as YA contemporary because that's the only YA genre I actually really love reading, and it's actually great. I mean, it talks about a lot of it's like whenever there's a loss in your family or whenever someone close in your family, like in your immediate family passes away, then there is some kind of grief that overcomes you, and it talks about how these 16-year-old women, how these 16-year-old girls are trying to build their or rebuild their lives, after this particular incident, after this particular plane crash. So yeah, I mean, it's a great read. It's an amazing read, and I would highly recommend this to anybody who is looking to read YA in general. Although this is not restricted to just YA, like this particular book will kind of transcend all human emotions and any adult can read it as well. But I don't know, it just affected me a lot because I really felt bad for the girls. I really felt bad that they were going through this stage of grief, and it just affected me a lot. And also, I love Acevedo's voice. Her narration is amazing because I listened to the audiobook narrated by her, like I stated. And yeah, it's an amazing book. It's worth your time, worth the read. And yeah, that's that. Okay, cool. I mean, I'll keep gushing about this book because this was a very good surprise for me. And if I had to select between Elizabeth Acevedo's books, and if you ask me which book of Elizabeth Acevedo should I read, I would say listen to the audiobook of The Poetex, because you will love it. But then this one also kind of comes close to her debut novel. The Poetex is her debut novel, which is in a slam poetry format, so it's like better to listen to it than read it. But this one can be read as well, because this is not like slam poetry, this is just like simple prose. So that's that. So yes, that's it. That's all the book. Those are all the books that I read this month. And hello again from my hoodie, from my cozy Mumbai morning attire. Okay, fine, cool. So yes, that's it. And in December is going to be a fun-filled month because of a lot of stuff coming. It's the end of the month. I have a very ambitious TBR, which I don't like. I don't post TBRs on my channel because for me that's like a very ambitious thing, and I'm a very impulsive reader. So even if I set a TBR, I know I'm going to be like putting in surprises in the middle. So that's that. But that being said, thank you so much for watching the video, and I'll see you on my weekly reads. Bye.